Ben camarades, bonsoir. Moi j'ai envie de dire un grand bravo, un grand merci à ça plusieurs milliers de personnes qui viennent répondre présent dans la capitale aujourd'hui à l'appel de Jean-Bruno Lorette. Bravo je tue. C'est Sophie marque l'histoire aujourd'hui. Sophie marque l'histoire. Sophie donne un claque magistral à sa gouvernement. La bande la PPR, bande la une caméra sécurité, traffic cams, bande la une road empêche drone envolé. La police il s'est arrête-moi parce qu'il trouve drone dans mon auto. Tout ça là est arrivé aujourd'hui parce qu'ils sont PPR. Et je t'en ai raison, père. Je t'en ai raison, père. Moi pas vous cause beaucoup. Moi pas vous cause beaucoup. Et il y a un autre moyen qui drone pour gagner des images. Ban mathématicien compte comme la ligne du Mounena. On prend 21 minutes pour passer dans le bout de sa manifestation là. Ok, c'est un moment d'émotion. C'est un moment fort. Bravo Zotu. Bravo Zotu. Le vrai mauricianisme levé là. Et en plus, c'était du monde de toute communauté confondue. C'était du monde de toute religion. Tout coulé à la peau. Tout! Pas venu dans on dit comment dire poussé par nous autres. We were one. As one nation, as one people. Nous l'hymne national. La partie visionnaire, voilà, tu connais qui vous avez écrit là-dedans. Parce que this is who we are. Ok? Get cette vidéo là. Et merci. Merci beaucoup. Encore. Allez, vous êtes. Today, 29th of August 2020, the people of Mauritius took to the streets to protest against the current government. One sentence kept resonating throughout these protests. Lève paquet, allez. Take your stuff and go. This is what we've been saying. And there's been protests going on in front of the Mauritian embassies elsewhere, all over the world, in several different countries. There are separate videos about that. So I'm just going to focus today on what has happened in Mauritius, because today is a historic day. Never has it been seen like this. Never have thousands of people like this demonstrated their anger against a current government. They responded to the call of one man, Jean-Bruno Lorette, who I first saw when he was helping the squatters. For you see what happened in Mauritius during the COVID outbreak, around the end of the outbreak, while we were still under confinement, under lockdown. The government suddenly decided that it would destroy the houses of squatters. So they went there with bulldozers, they served eviction orders, but of course we were in a lockdown. The people couldn't move. They stayed in those houses. The squatters, they were on government land. There was no urgency to remove them. But the government still sent its bulldozers and the police. And they flattened the houses of these people in front of their children. Some of them younger than 2 years old. Now, the most heart-wrenching story is the story of little Matteo. Matteo was a child born with a medical problem, and he recently died. He died about a week ago, and he was 7 months old. And this kid spent half of his life, literally, in a tent, in a cold tent, in one of the worst winters that Mauritius had ever seen. So this is unacceptable. And this man, this Jean-Bruno Lorette, he was there fighting for the people. This was the first time I heard of him. And this is the reason people are following him today. We are all in the streets today because we were answering the call of this one man who isn't in any political party. And all the parties have joined hands with him. They all called everybody to come apolitically. Do not wear your party colors. Come as Mauritians. Call upon your followers to come as Mauritians. This was the call today. And you see that all of us people today, we are dressed in black. Because we're mourning because we're not happy with what's going on in our country. So we wanted to express that. We wanted to send a message and ask the President of the Republic of Mauritius to revoke the Prime Minister and call for new elections. That's what we want. That's what we were out here doing today. All of us. I'm calling for experts. Analyze this footage. Look at it in all angles. Count the people. Use AI. I don't know. Just tell us how many people there are there in this crowd. Now, these images, I'm a Sabbath observer, okay? So I'm not allowed to work on the Sabbath day. This was not work. This footage was done for free. So you can reuse this footage and publish it everywhere you want. This is for the Mauritian people. This is for you. This is for me. This is for all of us. The world needs to know what has happened here. It's like the same thing I did with the oil spill images that I sent throughout the world for free. These are free images for you to take, for you to edit, for you to repost, for you to write articles about. Just give me the credit, okay? Ruben Pillay of rubesvision.mu. That's all I ask. I'm going to put that in the description up there. Okay, very good. Now let's talk about what has happened in Mauritius all this time. About the Wakashio, how it crashed, what's happened. I'm going to tell you everything. I haven't got anything written down. I'm just going to tell you what I remember. So I'm going to probably miss a few things. And there's so many things to say. So from the day the Wakashio crashed, the government did nothing. And on the 12th day, it started to leak its oil. Now, newspapers have been investigating this. People from the opposition parties have been investigating this. So there's one Asian woman who published pictures of what we have in the port. We have 1 kilometer of self-inflating booms that we could have spread all around the ship in anticipation of a potential disaster. This wasn't done. For 12 days, the government didn't bother to look into what was happening. They didn't do anything until it was too late. And this government has then started to come up with excuses saying the weather was bad. It wasn't. It wasn't bad. People have been publishing weather reports and the weather wasn't bad. So I've been there on the ground asking fishermen who were on the sea all day, was the weather bad? No, it was bad a few days, not all the 12 days. And it wasn't that bad either. And the newspapers have been reporting about a ship, I think it was the Sir Edward, a tugboat that we have that would have been capable of pulling the ship out of there. It wasn't really very stuck because the ship on its own moved out and changed position on the reef. So we did nothing, we didn't do that. Just a couple of days ago, there was one senior advisor to the Prime Minister who was speaking, and he quoted somebody as an expert, and so he quoted him in a way saying that this guy agreed with him, but the guy actually called from the radio on the live and spoke to the guy and asked him not to misquote him and not to change the way he said things. And he blamed the government for this. He told us about how there were barges with pumping capacities that could have been used during those 12 days in those conditions to pump the oil out of the ship. Me, a simple citizen, a day after the ship crashed, I urged the government to act quickly, not to wait for the boat owners or the insurance company of the boat owners to get into this. That I said that we, Mauritius, should protect our island, that we should act, that we should do things and then charge whatever money we spend to the insurance company or the boat owner. Who cares? Just pump that water, that oil out. I said that as a simple citizen. They did nothing. 11 days after that, I said that, the unthinkable happened. There was oil out. It's an ecological disaster, and we're not even sure how we're going to get out of this. The government wasn't doing anything, and then they decided to scuttle the ship, the front part of it. and put it out in the waters, not far from the coast. And we said this is going to damage whales, this is going to damage dolphins, this is going to hurt the marine animals. But the government surrounded itself with experts saying, "Oh, it's fine, it's fine. We do that all the time." There was one guy on the internet who was saying that we use them as artificial reefs. I think he's a lecturer, that guy, or something. Yet, what happened? And he doesn't make the distinction between ships that have been prepared to be sunk, that have been stripped of its bait, so analyzed and tested to be safe for the marine animals. He didn't take into account all of this. The Wakashio still has its anti-fouling paint on it that is not very good for animals. We don't know what it was transporting. In fact, there are issues about what it's transporting. There were doubts, because from marinetraffic.com we can see a ballet of one ship called the VB Cartier and another ship called the Stanford Hawk, two tugboats. One of them did a search pattern all around the ship. That's very intriguing. Why did it do a search pattern? What happened there? So we were calling for a full-fledged investigation as to what happened there. The newspapers have started saying that it could be a drug trafficking gone wrong. They said in the papers that maybe the ship came and dropped drug packets that other ships were supposed to pick up. And then something happened and the ship crashed. It's strange that the coastal cameras were off during this time. It's also strange that the Coast Guards didn't respond, didn't try to get in touch with the ship until 1 hour before it hit. While our economic exclusive economic zone is quite wide, it's quite big. We should have noted, we should have seen it coming from afar, deviating from its path. Did we? And did we not act? That is the question. Why wasn't it stopped? Why weren't commandos dropped on that ship? What's happened? And along with that, another article from 3 years ago started resurfacing on the internet, on Facebook, where thousands of people were sharing it. It's an article about a drug dealer who was caught 3 years ago. And during his interrogation, he mentioned the Prime Minister's name. And he said that it is him who is financing drug operations in Mauritius. So, the people of Mauritius here are asking a lot of questions. We wanted independent analysis of the ship and to find out what it was containing, what it was carrying. And suddenly, the government decides to sink that ship. We need to sink that ship right now. So, what the heck? What the heck? Why did they sink it? Now they said that there was no risk of pollution. The MBC made some. The MBC is the Mauritius Broadcasting Corporation. In fact, it's a propaganda tool for the government. And I'm just going to go on that afterwards and explain why it's like this. The MBC showed images of how clean it was and how they were doing tests and everything. But we don't trust this government. We don't even consider it to be legitimate. So the embassies showed us how safe it was, that it was safe, that there was no risk of pollution. But if there was no risk of pollution, why did they sink it? Couldn't we have left it on the coast? Could we have dismantled it? What was the urgency to sink that ship right then and there? Why? What happened? It doesn't make sense. We think it's a huge cover-up at the highest levels going on. This is what the Mauritian people think. And we are entitled to thinking that, even if the government is trying to put pressure on us to keep it shut up, the newspapers have already published what we're thinking. Because we can't stay silent anymore. We want an investigation. Now the proof of anything that happened is lying at 3,000 meters down on the sea level. And 2 days later, dolphins, whales have started dying. and have started washing up on our shores. And then the government has started some kind of cover-up operations. They started a restricted zone all around the place. When the oil was there, we volunteers went in there and we helped. And we were the ones installing booms. We were unaware at the time that there was 1 kilometer of boom waiting there in the port. And you know what happened when this came out? The Mauritius Ports Authority issued a statement threatening the people working at the MPA, Mauritius Ports Authority, telling them that they are not allowed to take pictures of whatever's in there. They're not even scared now of covering things up. They're not even scared of that now. This is ridiculous on some very high level. Just today, I nearly got arrested because I had a drone in my car on the seat. Just yesterday, because we had this huge protest today, just yesterday, a statement was issued that there is a law. We know about the law. I know about the law that we are not allowed. That they said, the newspaper said that we are not allowed to fly in the capital city today. There was no need for a restricted zone around the oil spill. There was no need to forbid drones today. There was no need to do this kind of overzealous thing, unless you don't want the world to see, unless you're trying to control the narrative. You're trying to control information that gets out of the country. So this is what is happening here in Mauritius. Do you know that they blocked BBC like a week ago? They blocked BBC. When you clicked on BBC, you got CGTN, which is a Chinese news channel. Why? Because the ex-Prime Minister made a damning interview about this government on the BBC. And it was being broadcasted on the BBC in their news cycle several times a day. So they blocked it. They blocked it for 40 minutes. We are very unhappy with the way things were done. And we want this government to go. This is unquestionable. This is the will of the people. We didn't even regard this government as legitimate in the first place. The number of inconsistencies that were with these elections is phenomenal. Let me just give you one example, one huge example here. There was a box. You know the ballot box where you drop your vote in it? Your ballot paper in it? Well, the papers, when you drop them, they are in a complete disorder inside the box. But there was a picture that was taken of a ballot box with the ballot votes stacked neatly inside of it. And the box was still sealed. So, this makes no sense, right? Yet it happened. It did. And what they said, the Electoral Commission, what they said, was that there was a woman there with a T-square. You know, there's the long rulers. And she put that inside the hole, and she arranged them after each and everyone voted, so it was laid inside the box. Because we are stupid, and we... Really? Come on. We're not stupid. We're not. And there are other stories running about how one truck, you know, when the truck leaves the voting center with the boxes and goes to the counting center with the boxes to be counted, they are followed by cars from different political parties. Except that in one place there were people on the street. So the traffic slowed down, the truck went through with one car of the government, of the party that won that current government. And then there was a crowd on the road, and the other cars couldn't get through. When the crowd dissipated, those cars went into the counting center. But they got there before the truck. A live video was made there. They were there, they were waiting, the truck wasn't there, and the truck was in front of them. So, you see, there is so many inconsistencies going on. I had opened a window there where I wrote about that because I knew there are yes. One other story, this I found out myself. You know, there was this Electoral Commission website, the Office of the Electoral Commission, where they had all the results of the elections displayed in there on the website. In one constituency, when you counted the number of votes received by all the candidates, it was more than the number of votes given by the voters. So I put that video online, doing copying and pasting on an Excel sheet. It went viral over here. And a few days later, the website was no longer accessible. Isn't it enough? Isn't this enough to call for new elections? This is enough. But there's been electoral petitions going on. The government has been dragging it. We're nearing a year, and nothing has been done. This is why the people are fed up, people. This is why we are angry. This is why we took it to the streets today. It's not just about the Wakashio. It is about a lot about the Pumateo. It is a lot about the whales that are dying. But it's a feeling that we've been having a long time before that. It's a feeling that we've been having since the elections. Never in this country has several opposing parties joined hands together like this. These guys were in disagreement with each other. They joined hands because they all agreed on one thing, that these elections were rigged. We all believe this. This is what I believe, and I'm expressing my belief right now. I do not consider this current government as the legitimate government of Mauritius. I should have said that a long time ago. I said it in writing, but I'm saying it on those images right now, because the world needs to know what is going on in my country. And we need your help, people from around the world, to help us get rid of this government and start and call for fresh elections right here in Mauritius. This is what we should be doing. This is what we're calling for today. Thank you very much. Donc voilà, ça c'était un premier petit pas. C'était un premier petit pas, vous êtes. Grand pas là, Pévini. Grand pas là, Pévini, et grand pas là, vous donnez un coup de pied. À qui vous êtes?